There was some crazy suspension of disbelief when it came to episode 5 of Fena Pirate Princess. But that's my thoughts on episode 5, so let's jump into it. Opening up this episode, we are no longer hiding the fact that this Yukihisa guy is somehow at least working against Fena. I'll just say that much. As we get this little interaction between Yukihisa and what looks like Shitan's brother, Kei, who are kind of talking about the idea that Kei is kind of wondering why he didn't send him rather than Shitan, because he believes that Shitan really does like Yukimaru, and if Yukimaru is swayed by the witch, there's going to be a problem. But it does hit on the idea that apparently, because Shitan is so willing to, I guess, protect his friend, he's going to be a perfect candidate for helping them out. So, again, it's kind of hitting on this idea that this witch, which we're assuming is probably going to be Fena, is not really trusted by them, and they believe this witch will essentially charm these goblin knights into doing what she wants, but they need to use her at the same time. So it does get into the whole aspect about apparently Yukimaru has always looked up to Kei, because apparently Kei was the one that went to kind of save them from the shipwreck. Back in that first episode, we see this Hope was sinking, and apparently Kei was there in order to at least save Yukimaru's life. And so he's kind of always looked up to him, trained the sword under him, and always strived to be as good of a swordsman as he is. We jump back to the crew, and they are heading to Orleans. That's where they found that this slab was mined from. They get there, they find this one, and this is where we finally get to see that thankfully Fena's hair is growing better, so she doesn't look as bad as she was. But yeah, they found this area that has all these mine shafts, and she randomly picks one of them. They go in there and they find that it is this huge temple. And as they kind of get in there and come to a fork in the road, they decide to let Fena choose which direction they go, and that's when she gets some sort of, I don't know, some feeling that she needs to go in one certain direction. She starts turning into like the mindless walker that just walks and knows exactly where she needs to go. She has the idea that she's got this feeling as if she's been there before, but it's like these memories that are pouring back into her, so it's almost second nature. She knows exactly where to go in this particular, I wouldn't call it a mine anymore, I call it a temple. And eventually that leads them to this one room where there is some structure in the middle that they put this slab in, this little slate inside of, and it gives them what looks like Roman numerals or coordinates. And at the same time, while they're all looking at that, Fena walks off on her own and finds what seems to be the resting place of Jeanne d'Arc. And that's when she's captured by O'Malley and her crew, who use her as a hostage in order to get the coordinates from them. They hurt my Karen. They hurt my Karen. I'm so mad. It's like, I don't mind these. I'm now perfectly fine with his entire crew of the O'Malley's group to be wiped out at this point. They hurt Karen, and I'm super mad about that. But yeah, they basically use Fena as a hostage. It seems like I had this moment where everybody's told to put down their arms, and Shitan's the only one that doesn't. Again, hinting back at the first part of this episode, that conversation where, Shitan was sent with them, obviously, because they don't want to be swayed by this witch, and obviously everybody is seeking her protection. That's what they're there for. But Shitan's the only one that obviously has this alternate mission in mind, and that's probably to get this coordinates in order for them to find what O'Malley is saying, El Dorado. So we're kind of hinting at this is apparently a way to get to El Dorado. But yeah, they set some explosive in the entrance and they leave, and that's kind of where we leave it. So yeah, this episode, I had a lot of problems with it, and I kind of have to keep going, just relax. I mean, it's one of those things where I was annoyed by certain aspects of this particular episode, but at the same time, it was fun. Like, I've never liked the whole Tomb Raider aspect where they go inside of some tomb, and then for some reason, they're always being trailed by the bad guy until they get to the treasure, and then the bad guy shows up at the very end. It's like, it's very Western tomb raiding tropes there. And it was kind of frustrating because I got a huge kick out of how they were using Mary to find where the direction they went. Because they would say, okay, Mary, which direction did they go? This way. Okay, this way. So it's like one of those things where they're almost using her as a compass, but going opposite whatever she says. And so I'm hoping at some point they explain that Mary has some sort of, I don't know, aversion to Fena or something like that, and that's why they knew. I mean, you could easily have used somebody that knows how to track, and that's how they knew which direction to go, but to use the whims of some girl to know exactly where to go is kind of a little frustrating. And of course, my other issue stems back to my discussion in the first impressions of the first episode is they've already established that this Goblin Knights are all like super overpowered and can basically move at the speed of light. And yet now they're, again, unable to just, leap up there and grab Fena and pull her back, or not able to run past this explosive. How O'Malley and all their people basically walked right past this explosive and then set it off, and it somehow didn't blow them all up. it's one of those, okay, it's okay. It's just a fun show. Ignore all these stupid little things that you think are factually incorrect. Yeah, I think Karen was a lot of fun this episode. Just the fears that she had of being cursed. The whole place is cursed. My family can feel it. And she's just attaching to somebody's back the entire time. I don't know who it was. It was probably one of the twins, like, pops up with this skeleton on his face, and she just, like, kicks him right in the face. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, finding coordinates and apparently knowing where this El Dorado, at least what they think is the El Dorado. They also had O'Malley was pretty clear as to, I guess, the identity of the Goblin Knights. She said that apparently they're a brigade that was easily wiped out 3,000 Spanish soldiers during the Battle of Dunkirk. And then they also mentioned the idea that they are pretty much descendants of them. So it's not saying that this group of Goblin Knights are the ones that wiped out the Spanish. It's just saying that they're like descendants of them. So they're a well-known group of people that apparently were, seen as being like the incarnation of Lucifer himself. So really playing them up. And obviously they confirmed the idea that they weren't there just for those coordinates. They also wanted Fena. I am really curious what they're going to end up doing with Shitan and Yukimaru. It's obvious at this point where Shitan's already pretty much, I think he's going to be conflicted. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where suddenly, like, turning around the corner, we're going to find out that Shitan reveals that he's been after this all along, and he's going to turn on Yukimaru and he's going to turn on Fena. But it is giving that sense that at some point he's going to have a little bit of a conflict. He's going to probably presumably show that he wants to do something for his master, but at the same time will be conflicted because he's had all the experiences with Fena and all these experiences with Yukimaru. I mean, he's already kind of showing it when he first receives this letter from, which I wish they had translated. He received this letter and he, immediately goes to help Fena with her training. He obviously still likes her. But yeah, we'll see what goes from here. Obviously, Tsubaki's still outside watching the ship, so he'll probably help them get free. I don't think he's going to actually stop O'Malley and her group before they get out of there, but he'll probably help them free them from the tomb, and then they can go after them. We'll probably see a lot more into Abel and Cody and all them next episode, because obviously Fena is now captured, and they'll probably hand her over. So it'll be interesting to see kind of them lay out all that's going on that side of the whole situation. But fantastic episode, though. Really a lot of fun. Really great visually looking show as usual. Like I said, still had a lot of issues with how they played up these soldiers, and then they can't even get past the explosion. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 5 of Fena Pirate Princess. Hope you guys enjoyed my impressions. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon if you can. And y'all take care.